Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
The government is dramatically changing its rhetoric as it continues tough negotiations with public sector unions. The Premier today conceding all options are on the table, which could mean the scrapping of the 2% wages cap. Our political reporter Michelle Wisby joins us now. Good evening, Michelle. Just how much of a change is this?
Joe, it's quite the change from what we've been hearing right through these ongoing negotiations. For months now, the government has been sticking to its line that it will not budge on its 2% wages cap. It's a decision that sparked protests in many sectors for months now. Nurses, teachers, paramedics and other public sector workers all walking off the job. But we've seen this dramatic shift from the Premier today as negotiations continue.
I'm not ruling anything in or anything out at this point in time. That's the beauty and the purpose of negotiations, to consider other perspectives.
It could mean negotiators are getting one step closer to finding a solution. And Joe, that will certainly come as a welcome relief for many Tasmanians caught in the crossfires of these long and tiring discussions.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that, Michelle. Michelle Wisby joining us there. To some breaking news now, and a four-wheel drive has collided with a shop front in Launceston's CBD. Crews are currently trying to remove the vehicle from inside cafe. The driver has been taken to the Launceston General Hospital and is being assessed. Injuries of those involved are not yet known. Police say a deliberately lit fire overnight has caused around $250,000 damage to a Clarendon Vale home. Crews arrived on the scene in Bradman Street just after midnight, finding rubbish on fire against a wall. The blaze spread into the roof space, forcing crews to fight the fire from the outside. Authorities were still on the scene this morning.
We're starting the investigation now. As you can see behind me there, it is a quite dangerous situation with a tile roof, which we need to make safe before we can proceed with this investigation.
The property was vacant at the time and no one was injured. A secret tourism attraction is in the works to help the Huon Valley's bushfire-ravaged communities get back on their feet. The nighttime installation, which could be in place for more than 6 months, aims to draw back visitors while the badly damaged Tarun Airwalk remains closed.
On a rainy day in Geeveston following the peak of the bushfire emergency, the Premier in town to announce more assistance for the region. The owners of a supermarket and butcher in the town facing losses topping $100,000.
We've got a hard 6 to 8 months in front of us, and I think any kind of money or grant that's offered to us will be gratefully received and help make the next 6 to 8 months a lot easier.
Grants ranging from $2,000 to $25,000 set to be on offer for some impacted businesses. The support for bushfire-affected areas, including the Central Highlands, West Coast and Derwent Valley.
Many businesses were affected by fires, communities were cut off, there were road closures, people evacuated from their homes and businesses, so this will provide direct support and assistance to them.
South of Huonville, they're dealing with the extended closure of the Tarun Airwalk. Parts of the major visitor drawcart scorched in January's bushfires.
We have lost the one iconic tourism experience in the valley, and that is Tarun. Now Tarun will get back on its feet, but probably not until Christmas time is what I'm hearing.
With the closure of the Tarun Airwalk likely to continue until the end of the year, the council is working on some sort of nighttime attraction near Geeveston, a temporary installation to help lure visitors to the area overnight.
It is in the form of an installation, and the installation is looking at being here in between Geeveston and Dover for 6 to 8 months.
We're going to do more to market these regions, to support events that are underway and that are planned already, but also to look at new innovative ways to bring people down here.
Council is hopeful to reveal more details in the next 4 weeks. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
The mother of a 2.5-month-old baby who died in Launceston 2 years ago has broken down in court, weeping as she recalled the night her daughter was found unresponsive. An inquest into the death is being heard in the Launceston Magistrates Court. Our reporter Jessica Moran has more.
Charlotte Lukendley was just 11 weeks old when her life was ended. She died on the 25th of February 2016 after her father put her to bed, only to find her a short time later lifeless with bleeding from her mouth. Charlotte's mother, Ms Lou, gave evidence at the inquiry today, adamant her former husband is responsible for the death. She told the court, "I never expected him to kill my baby. I never thought someone could be so evil." Adding, "I came from a warm and loving family. I didn't think this would ever happen." She told the court Mr Endley never liked or loved their child and that he was rough, would shake her and would squeeze her tightly around her ribs and would shout at her when she cried. Ms Lou was asked if there were other things he did to Charlotte, to which she replied he would blow air in her face and forcibly push her hands back when changing her, and that he'd wrap her too tightly in her swaddle with her legs pressed up against her tummy and would put her face down in the cot. Yesterday, medical evidence was presented saying the baby had multiple rib fractures and her brain had been starved of oxygen. Paramedics say she'd had gone at least 30 minutes without breathing when she was found. Mr Endley today denied ever hurting Charlotte and said Ms Lou was lying. He was charged with assaulting his daughter in 2016, but those charges have since been dropped.
New data has revealed Tasmania has experienced the highest growth in new job advertisements in the country. The latest Seek employment report found there was a 19% jump in new job ads last year. The average advertised salary in the state up by 1.3% to $76,000. Across Australia, the mining and resources industry saw the largest growth in advertisements, followed by government and defence and healthcare. The real estate and construction industry suffering the most significant losses. The Tasmanian Aboriginal community has celebrated an historic moment as private land was handed back to its original owners for the first time ever today. The Little Swanport property is scattered with history and artefacts. The owners now hoping the move will inspire others to do the same.
A signature that symbolises so much more.
The Tenniswood family hereby returns this parcel of land to its rightful owner, the Tasmanian Aboriginal people.
It's touted as a first in the history of Tasmania, this private land in the hills of Little Swanport handed back to its original owners. The landowners wanting it to be shared by all.
We're getting messages from across the world, so let's hope it's going to lead to all sorts of other exciting reconciliation paths.
This is our mother's country, and as a result of the gesture by the Tenniswoods, they've allowed us to come home to our mother's country for the first time.
An emotional day for all, the history of the land's usage going back centuries. Evidence splayed across the site and devastating stories discovered of its past and significance.
Pollie, this was her country. She was abducted from here, we're certain, 200 years ago this year by white sealers.
The family decided to hand back around 110 hectares of this land, which includes not just the important cultural values, but also a number of new environmental discoveries.
This is a really remarkable piece of land. We recorded about 885 species, but what's really exciting is that we found things that had never been found in Tasmania before.
The family hoping it will inspire others to do the same, but it's something still being reviewed by government.
We've wanted to be open not just to what you might say are traditional forms of land handbacks, but also dual land management opportunities.
But today it was all about giving back. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
It was a piece of land which nearly tore Tasmania apart, and now it could be yours. The site of the failed Gunns Bell Bay pulp mill is on the market, expected to fetch a price tagged in the tens of millions of dollars.
An ugly chapter in Tasmanian history many would rather forget. 7 years after the collapse of Gunns, its failed Bell Bay pulp mill site is now on the market. The property was listed early this morning and already the phones are ringing.
The transport logistics sector, the renewable energy sector, general industrial uses.
The site includes 3 parcels of land, the centrepiece being the 890 hectares by the banks of the Tamar River. But it's brought up painful memories for those on both sides of the battle.
It took an enormous toll on an awful lot of people, and I would say the entire community, whether they were for the mill or against it. It had a huge emotional impact, I think, on everybody in Launceston and indeed Tasmania.
The Launceston Chamber of Commerce hopes the site will be developed, as long as past lessons are learned.
I think one of the positives out of that whole pulp mill process, it's told us what not to do. So people, whether they were in favour of the pulp mill or opposed to the pulp mill, probably everyone pretty much agreed the process was at fault.
The area is zoned as industrial, but the project permits expired in the middle of 2017. Good access to ports and rail remain the strong selling points.
Then it is an ideal location for someone that's looking at a large-scale industrial development in northern Tasmania.
But buyers beware.
We will mobilise again if there is anything that's going to threaten the way of life of people here.
Expressions of interest close on April 4. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
And hundreds of athletes are preparing to conquer land and sea with the Devonport Triathlon just over a week away. In a major coup for the event, Devonport will host a round of the Para Triathlon World Cup, drawing world-class athletes to the coast.
Devonport's bluff might be picturesque, but it makes for a punishing triathlon, attracting only the very best.
The quality this year is outstanding. I mean, it's just amazingly high standard. When you've got the Australian Youth, the Australian Junior Championships, you've got the best young athletes from right across Australia here competing.
Roughly 250 competitors will brave the bay and lap up the city on wheel and foot. They'll all be vying for 8 national and international crowns. The highlight this year will be 60 elite athletes entering the Para Triathlon World Cup.
And then you go to the next level with the para athletes. Well, they're from right around the world. So the standard is huge. Certainly the highest standard of athletes that are competing here at Devonport we've ever seen.
Officials arrived today to take in the sun-drenched foreshore.
The course is designed beautifully to be able to handle our para-athletes. Obviously they have some challenges in being able to make turning circles nice and safe and legal, but we can do all of that here in Devonport. So it gives us a great combination of both fast racing and really technical racing.
And a win here will lead to success well beyond Devonport's shores, with all eyes now on Tokyo Gold. The 3-day challenge kicks off on March 1. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
A team of 20 cyclists is gearing up to hit the road for the annual Pollie Pedal. Tasmanian military veteran and Invictus Games athlete Jared Kent joins this year's peloton. He's keen to share his own story of overcoming adversity and to help raise awareness and funds for Diabetes Tasmania.
People with diabetes or whatever conditions, there is always hope, there's always belief, and we can always take everything to the next level, and that's the way we should live life.
This is our 13th year, over 640,000 raised. We've just clocked over another 40 this year, and obviously I'm sure there'll be more to come.
The 3-day, 300-kilometre ride begins tomorrow and starts from the Port Arthur Lavender Farm before finishing in Sandy Bay. A Tasmanian woman turning 101 years old has bought a rather unexpected birthday present for herself. Doris Thackeray has had her first tattoo. She described going under the needle as feeling like a tickle.
A trip to the tattoo parlour marking the lead up to Doris Thackeray's special birthday. Approaching 101 years old, this will be her first tattoo.
Oh, I just take it as my stride. Everybody says, aren't you excited? So no.
Are you worried it's going to hurt?
No. They'd worse things than that.
Prepping the tools. For this studio, it's their oldest customer by 2 decades.
You'll be extra careful today?
Oh, I'll be very gentle as I possibly can, that's for sure.
Applying a stencil for a tattoo with special meaning as well. It's going to be a pink ribbon for breast cancer.
I've just lost a daughter-in-law with cancer, badly, and now I've got a daughter that is on the way out. She's very, very sick. So I'm doing all I can to raise money that's all I can do because
I've been tattooing for 15 years, and to tattoo a lady at 101 years old is a big privilege, and to do a breast cancer ribbon on her as well is also a very meaningful one.
Doris all smiles and even a thumbs up, saying the experience felt like a tickle.
We can have a look at it now.
Thank you. Oh my God, yes. Oh, that is beautiful.
You happy?
Yes.
As well as this tattoo, on Monday Doris is having her head shaved for the second time as part of fundraising for the Cancer Council's Relay for Life.
Where will it stop?
When I'm underneath, I expect.
Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
Basketball Tasmania has thrown its full support behind the Southern Huskies becoming the next team granted an Australian NBL licence after the league's CEO Larry Kesselman publicly stated that Tasmania was a strong chance of becoming a 10th team in the competition within the next 2 years. The Huskies have already been granted a 5-year licence to play in New Zealand's NBL, but the Basketball Tasmania CEO says he believes the club can manage a team in both leagues.
I'm sure nothing's guaranteed at this point, but the Southern Huskies have been terrific. We've got a strong partnership with them, and we're really looking forward to seeing what they can put on this year with the New Zealand NBL.
The Huskies play their first Tasmanian match at the Derwent Entertainment Centre on April 27 against the Super City Rangers. Tasmania could have a new world champion on its hands. After recently taking out the National Blackball Masters title in Victoria, Greg Laurie is now preparing to take on the best on the planet at the World Titles in Greece. The Tasmanians weren't expected to do much up against the traditionally strongest states, but they quickly put their mainland rivals on notice.
Well, we only had one Tassie side that went over, it's a team of 5, so we were underrepresented compared to the other states, but punched well above our weight.
Laurie blitzing the competition, potting ball after ball en route to the Masters final, where he clawed his way back into the match to claim his first national blackball title.
I wasn't sure where we go. The team made the quarterfinals as well, so we finished in the money in every event nearly, so it was great.
The Sorel sharpshooter also taking out the Open Scotch doubles event with Devonport's Wayne Stubbs, who he'll be hoping to join on the list of Tasmanian world champions, with Stubbs guiding the Australian Masters team to success at last year's 8-ball world titles in Blackpool, England. Laurie will get his chance to do so in November as part of the national side headed for the Blackball World Championships in Greece.
It's going to be fantastic. The place looks awesome. Cyprus looks awesome. Just can't wait to get there.
Good evening. A few showers over the west and south today. Mount Reid 20 millimetres last night and a further 16 today. Hobart and Burnie 20 degrees. Launceston 23 and Devonport 22. St Helens the top with 24 as temperatures stay below average. Friendly Beaches 23. Flinders Island, Smithton, Lowhead and Ouse 20. King Island, Grove and Strawn 18. Lyre-Weenie 13. Low-level clouds streamed over the state today, still with the mountain wave striations involved. Low cloud also sits over the coast of Victoria and South Australia. Tropical cyclone Omar clearly visible over the Coral Sea, an onshore flow pushing over the New South Wales coast as well. Tomorrow, Tasmania will be under the influence of the high pressure system, which also sends a ridge over central Australia. The broad trough continues. West to southwest winds at 10 to 20 knots, increasing to 30 knots over southern waters. Winds more variable over eastern waters with swells to 3.5 metres in the west and south. Strong wind warning that's been issued for waters between Wineglass Bay and South East Cape. Friday for Hobart, 22 and cloudy. 22 for Huonville, Campania cloudy as well, one better on 23. 26 for Launceston, fine and mostly sunny. 24 for Devonport and Georgetown with a fine sunny Friday. For Burnie, partly cloudy and 23, 18 the top for Strawn with a shower in the west, partly cloudy for Wynyard, 23. St Helens tomorrow, partly cloudy and 23, 23 also for Swansea, 21 for Port Arthur, maybe a late shower sneaking there. UV very high for all areas. On Saturday, fine apart from light showers over the south early. Fine and mostly sunny for all on Sunday. And on Monday, fine and partly cloudy with northeasterly winds. Partly cloudy for Perth, Melbourne and Canberra tomorrow. A sunny 32 in Adelaide. Showers for Sydney and Brisbane. Partly cloudy, 18 in Hobart right now, 22 in Launceston and 20 degrees in Devonport. Joe, a lot of our viewers probably don't know that you're presenting the news tonight under duress. You're carrying a very severe injury under one of your eyes, inflicted, of course, as usual, by one of your children. Good to know, though, that you've banned badminton from being played in your kitchen from now.
Always seem to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Thank you very much for that, Merv. That's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening. We'll see you a little later. Bye-bye.